There we go. Let's start the week off right, friends. Welcome to Ask a Designer. We are so happy you are here. I see some familiar faces in the chat. I see Robert. I see Alessandra. Oh my gosh, Izzy, I see you, cutie pie. You ready to kick off this week together with an amazing project?
Oh my goodness, I was born ready, Phil. This is going to be a fun one.
I am so excited. By the way, you had a good weekend, I heard. You were at a cottage, something like this, with your
Yes,
family. Was it good?
yes. It was good. Oh my goodness. I ran an event last week and I felt like a deflated balloon. So I went on a long 5K paddle board ride and it
Good
was
for you.
exactly what I needed for today.
Exactly what the doctor ordered. Friends in the chat, let us know what you stayed busy with this weekend. I happen to be in Los Angeles here for some Adobe Express events, but there's nowhere I would rather be than here right now with you, Izzy, because we're going to kick off this week with a really exciting project. Friends, wait till you see what we are designing today. This might be the most innovative design that we have tackled yet on this show. If you are new to our show, Ask a Designer, you will learn today that Izzy and I bring our actual clients, our real life projects to the table, to the test. And so before we jump over and introduce this topic today that we're tackling, I'm going to share my screen and show you our remixable template in Adobe Express. Izzy and I actually add to this every single week, depending on what it is we tackle and what we talk about. So you're going to find this link in the description. You're going to find so many interesting and useful little bits in this remixable template that we are constantly adding to. Today will be no exception. Once we wrap the episode, we'll add in the assets that we create so that you guys can also have some fun with these designs, remix them and use them for yourself. So Izzy, on that note, I'm going to pass it over to you to introduce today's show.
All right. So if we can hop over to my screen, I have prepared for you a wonderful presentation just showcasing who is the client, because today it's a little bit different. It's two organizations coming together to create this wonderful event called Crépu, Our DNA, which is a show about coily, tight curl hair. And it's been so amazing to watch them grow. So it started out with Sandra, who started the moving art gallery, moving because it's moving places. The show moves places. And I designed for them this really cute poster and I separated them on all different pages because I really wanted to use the awesome photography from Curtis Perry at each event.
It is
So
beautiful photography.
it
It is so
is
beautiful.
he is such an amazing photographer. He was able to snap this for me because as I got to the event, there were none left. Those were there to pick up and for people to bring back home. And I didn't even get to have one. so, so,
No.
so I'm happy that he got the chance to photograph it. So it started out with the girls show, and then Crépu, Our DNA was born with Hors Pair. And by accident, I guess it's because I design logos all the time, but the scope was not to design a logo, but I accidentally designed this logo for them as I was designing their full campaign poster and social media. So this was the first campaign for Crépu with some stunning photography from the artists that were exhibited at this first show. And again, we can see some wonderful photography at the event with like a live barber during the panel discussion. That was so cool. Lots
I
of
love it.
people. This was the social media campaign. And yeah, there was a lot. So there was a full schedule, there was a sneak peek, there was like a chance to have like the sponsor logos so they could write them personal message after the event. This is why it's just the logo. It was strategic in that sense. And then this was this year's campaign, so 2024. I love the photos that they went for because it gave me such a flexibility to work with, specifically for the social media campaign. This is like, again, photos from there. So you can see some here, but I'm just going to show you quickly my Illustrator file
There's a
because
lot
this
going on. There
there's a lot
always
going
is.
on.
Can I also
Yes.
say quickly that Teresa says, I love the deep green. I do
Oh,
too.
thank you. I
Yeah, I
mean,
love that color. This branding is probably my favorite so far. I always love your branding, Izzy, but
Thank you.
this is my jam. Teresa's too.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Teresa. So, yes, so today, basically, because they have been growing so much, the last show, I mean, was a full fashion show. There was on-site hairstyling. It was a lot. And sadly, I mean, sadly, but also it was a cool thing for me. But I was in San Francisco for an in-person live during that show, so I missed it. It was happening at the same time, but it blew up. This event blew up. So for today, what I want to be doing is, I mean, actually, let's call the video and then we'll hop into what we will be doing. I got
Good
excited a little
thinking.
bit. Yes.
Yeah. We have a great little video
Mhm.
from the brand
Sandra.
actually that we're representing today from Sandra. So let's check it out.
Mhm.
Hi, my name is Sandra Ngenge Dusabe, and I am the founder and head curator at the Moving Art Gallery. I have had the pleasure of working with Isabel for the past 2 years now, off of various projects together. I think the approach and the artistic direction and design mind that she has only resulted in the most stunning visuals to date. So this project, I will know for a fact it will be just the same. So in 2023, the MAG and Hors Social, which was founded by Charlene Clark, we both came together to start this annual series called Crépu Our DNA. And from that first initial launch of this event, we've been working with Isabel for our visual and marketing branding. So continuously, we've refined and made more edits and just really perfected our working experience together. So it's just been a really great journey, and we're continuing once again for 2025. And this year we're looking to launch the official social media page for this event series. And on top of that, we're doing our typical deliverables. So we're going to be looking for posters, social media squares, and one new element that we're looking to do is to have a printable schedule that also acts as a souvenir kind of takeaway for guests to have a piece of Crépu when they go home. So really excited to see how they're going to tackle this specific ask that we're looking for. The Ottawa Design Club is fantastic with printed media, so really excited to see how it goes.
Thank you, Sandra. By the way, it sounds like you like Izzy as much as I do. You can count on both of us to give you the endorsement you deserve, Izzy. That's my read on the situation.
Oh my gosh, Sandra is such an example to follow. She has so much drive and cool ideas, and she gets it done. She is not just a dreamer, she is a doer, which is
Love it.
like what we want in this world. So, yes, so essentially for this campaign, so there's a lot that they need for the next show in 2025, but I wanted to actually merge two products together. So, not only will we be designing the program schedule today, but we will also be designing a poster. So if we can cue up the camera on me right here, I have made a dummy. Hopefully you can see my crazy doctor's handwriting here. But this here would be the front. This is the back. When we open it, we have page 1, page 2. This is the top, this is the bottom. Then when we open it up again, we have a poster, and this is something that the attendees can bring back home as a souvenir, but also use during the full show. And the reason why it was important to get a dummy is whenever we are designing this, we need to know where everything goes before we hop into our design to make sure that for the client, it is easy for them to understand, because we're going to templatize this in Express. We'll start in Illustrator, but then we'll finish it in Express, which is so exciting.
It is
Okay.
so exciting, and it is such a cool design. I love that. What did you call it? You called this a folded program
Folded,
slash
yeah.
poster. kind of.
Correct.
Well, yeah, I need to like research what to even call this thing, but I love it. I feel like you've already, we haven't even designed yet, and you've already inspired me to think about how I can use this kind of template for my own client projects. Like I mean, think like even a festival, we've done event
Mhm.
branding. You could frame that poster. Let's say it was like commissioned by an
Yes.
artist in the middle, like you could have that framed. There's so many cool possibilities with this great little invention by Izzy.
Thank you so much. Actually, this is a design that I am repurposing. I used to work at an art gallery a few years ago, might I say even 10 years ago.
That's a
Um,
few.
that's a few. And this is a design that we actually tried for one of the exhibition and it did wonderfully. And a cool thing that we also did is the poster inside, we actually changed the image, like 3 different images. So you did not know if you picked, like you didn't know which one you picked. So that was super fun. So here I am in Illustrator. I just started a new document. I'm going to do this 13 by 19 inches. It is a little bigger than our typical 11 by 17, but why not take a lot of space? It's important. Also, you want it to be big enough for people to grab onto it easily whenever it's folded in four. So here, I mean, if you are like me and you want to keep the Illustrator template, I would do it in CMYK and just making sure that everything is at 300 dpi here. And we need 2 artboards. So let's create that. Actually,
CMYK is for printing. I'm sure our
exactly.
extremely knowledgeable C Pro audience already knows that, but just in case there's someone watching the replay and they're like, what the heck did she say? When you choose your color profile, RGB is for web, CMYK is for print.
Exactly. So here I'm just going to distance my artboard a little bit with the artboard tool, which is on the side here. Now, very easy. I'm just going to go to the line segment tool. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any color fill. And I'm going to hold my shift key, just draw a line straight down, and the same thing horizontally. I am going to align this using the align tool, which should appear when in your properties panel. So align horizontally and vertically like so. Going to group this. And then it's a little big. It's okay. Can make it a little smaller. And then making sure that I am on this specific artboard because I want to make sure that it's perfectly centered. I am going to select it and again, just use the alignment tool so it is perfectly centered on this artboard. Now,
Looking good, looking good.
thank you. What I want to do is identify what is what, because I'm not going to fully design this here. I just want to give it as a template to the client. So I'm just going to create a text box and following my dummy,
Yeah, you
which
can
I'm going
literally
to
unfold it and just
ex,
look at it and see what
ex
is upside down. Clever in the chat says, I love paper dummies. So useful. I agree. Sometimes you just have to print something out and make it rough to just like get a grasp on the design and then how to go about it.
Exactly. Sometimes I do like very quick sketches too, just to see
Yeah.
how the space is going to be used as well. And I want to make sure everything is caps. And sometimes, I mean, it's really rough, and that's okay.
Love that you're showing us though how to do this in Illustrator. Some of these features, people might not know, even be able to split it up into like, single page into windows like this. Even simple labeling is going to help us create that template, right? If you're thinking about how this could be used in conjunction with your client, you might be the pro using Illustrator or Photoshop, but so, it might be on you to get this template set up, but then being able to hand this over to your client for them to be able to maintain or update for next year. That's where this becomes really exciting for them to be able to do something like that in Adobe Express, which we'll show coming up.
Absolutely. So here, as you can see, I actually have flipped the page 1 and page 2 completely upside down because again, when I go back to my dummy, this is how it's showing up when I fold it up. So I just want to make sure that this is clear for them. So I'm going to just say top here, and then bottom. Of course, this would come with some instructions to use, like maybe in a quick email, or I would also record myself showing them like how everything is done. I would maybe send them a quick PDF with the instruction, or I would just send them the slide once it's up. So there you go. Okay. So
I
let me
find
just
myself nowadays being like, I think I can communicate this quickest in a video, like a loom or some kind of quick little video tutorial. It just,
exactly.
it's easier.
So I'm just going to save it here. Perfect. Now I'm going to go to Express, and I actually have a brand kit already started for Crépu RDNA.
How did this client find you?
Oh, actually, I should have mentioned this, but it's through Ottawa Design Club. This is what Sandra mentioned at the very end of the video. So the Ottawa Design Club is a volunteer initiative that I run, and people sometimes mistake it for a full agency, but it's not. But I'm getting a lot of clients through that, and this was a way for me to become a leader in my local community as a designer, because there's a lot of designers. So I'm like, how do I attract the right people and like events and arts and stuff like that? So I bridged everything together and created this awesome event offering. Now, let me just maybe refresh Express because it's playing tricks on me right now.
It gets nervous. It gets nervous when it's a part, when it co-hosts with us.
There you go. Okay, so here I'm on the Adobe Express main page. I'm clicking plus and I'm going to upload media over here. So I'm going to go and fetch the template that I just created. So making sure it's there. Perfect. And now here it says add AI file as linked image. That's not what I want. I want to make sure that I can edit the file in a new file. So create Express file. It will be converting. And after that, I'll be able to invite you, Phil, so we can design together.
That's perfect. And thank you for explaining that distinction. So when you're bringing in files into Express, you'll have both of those options. And you'll just want to think, do I want this as a linked asset where you would be updating those original files somewhere like Photoshop or Illustrator, and those updates get passed through to the linked asset? Or like Izzy said, if is this something that I actually want to be editing right now, then you'll choose that option so that in Express you have that full control.
Exactly. So as you can see, it has brought everything perfectly and we fully understand now the full template. What I'm going to do is actually select everything and group it.
Good call.
Teresa
says, love the Ottawa Design Club in our chat.
Thank you. I'm actually going to lock this just because I want to be able to refer to this guide for as long as I can. So I'm going to lock it right here. And now
look at you using the lock feature. I'm so impressed. Where'd you learn about all these features in Adobe Express? This show, I bet.
This show, actually, like I have to mention that I usually spend my time in Photoshop and design and Illustrator, but since meeting Phil, I am finding myself more and more in Adobe Express, and there is so much that you can do. It is insane. And now I'm pushing Adobe Express to all my clients. So
that's what we love to hear.
Yes.
That's what we love to hear. But the truth is, you highlight something that I think is almost like the thesis of our show. Adobe Express is not designed to replace any of your traditional workflows or your designer workflows that you do. every single day, probably in platforms like Photoshop and Illustrator. But what's so neat is the workflows that you can build that complement that, not just with you. So even hopping in and doing a quick action, converting an image or video file type, creating a QR code, these things we can do in literal seconds. But as you're going to see today, building a template that you pass off to your client, Adobe Express really is a safe and empowering place for someone who might not, open Photoshop and Illustrator and go, oh my gosh, where do I begin? Express says, hey, begin here. And the more you use it, the more you get the hang of it.
Yes, this is something that like at first I was like, okay, this is a little tricky because I'm used to the like features in mostly Illustrator. To me, this looks a lot like Illustrator.
Yeah.
But as it's been growing, it's easier and easier, like all the features that have been added, which is awesome. Here, I just want to add program.
This design is looking beautiful. And you and I have touched on this fact in our show many a time, but isn't great photography so key to an outstanding design? In this case, I mean, look at that photography. She looks absolutely gorgeous. The background color lends to like that, just that beautiful complement to the branding. We saw that beautiful green earlier. I'm sure you're going to bring it back. Like photography, oh my gosh. When I'm doing a brand, I actually make them do photography first, knowing that bits and pieces of the photography will inspire the rest of the brand.
Actually, so because Crépu is keeping the photography that they will be using for the next campaign as a secret until they officially launch the campaign. So this is from their last show, and I'm using it as placeholders for now, but I'm still going to make it as finished as possible because this will also inspire the type of photography or artist work that they want to feature in the future.
That makes sense.
But you are absolutely right, Phil, on that. If it were the reverse for this type of campaign, I would tell them to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Many instances where we're having to work with placeholder images, I always try to think too, like, don't let photography hold you up, even if that's something that has to come later, seasonally, availability with a photographer. I find myself either placing stock photos as placeholders, or in this case, Izzy, you've got a nice bank of previously shot selects to be able to use. That's a good call. Except I think I'm going to fall in love with this image so much that I'm not going to want you to change it. But good thing I'm not the client.
There you go. Okay, so here I actually want to go and fetch this orange, which I just color picked from the fill color, and I just created a shape onto here. I want to make sure that I'm bringing everything below the first layer where we have grouped everything, again, just to make sure that I'm seeing the template at all times. And here I would like to bring an image. So let me go back into my brand kit and feel like this one is a great one. Following again. That's why I like reversed it, because this section here, this is the bottom, this is the top. So this is why I need to reverse it.
You also did something really smart here that I want to spend a few extra seconds on. You drew the shape, Izzy, which we find on the elements tab, elements, then go to shape. When you choose a rectangle, a square, or a circle, you have the ability to literally adjust all aspects of the sizing. And you created a shape that is perfectly the size of that page, which enables you to you make it easier for yourself to line things up in the center. And so think about shapes like that, versus just kind of doing one giant shape. By having them as the individually sized for each panel, you then benefit from the alignment, the tools that will show up to get everything centered, and that's going to help.
Yes, sometimes I don't even like notice that I do these things, but then
Well,
you
that's
do.
what you have me for. That's what you have me
Exactly.
for.
We're the best of both worlds here.
We are. We are. We're a team. It is. I
We
mean, when you're
are.
designing, we've learned from doing Adobe Live that like while you design, you talk about the design, but also you're juggling a few things at any given moment. I'm like, wait a second, we got to explain that because that was smart.
So here's something that I want to add before I start into adding the schedule right here, which will require a little bit of typesetting. I want to add the logo. So yes, we have the main event logo right here, but also because it is two initiatives that are coming together, I want to be bringing the moving art gallery, and just going to make that a little smaller. I clicked on this twice. It's cool that the acronym for moving art gallery is MAG. That's like
I like it.
a really cool play here. And then hors pair. Hors pair actually means something that is unique and very top-notch in French, which hors pair, they do a lot of really cool events for the Black community and obviously the regular community as well. And they do really cool stuff.
And that's in Ottawa?
That is in Ottawa. I don't know if they have plans on expanding. That would be so cool. They did like a full-on masquerade at some point. They had a paint night with wine. They do a lot of cool stuff, which is so amazing to see.
Well, you can count me in for wine night.
Yes, and you're coming to Ottawa
I
soon.
know. You and I actually get to meet for the first time in real life. Can you believe it? We've done more shows than we can count, but we've never actually met in real life. We're both
I know.
Canadian. We're both working in design, but we have not met in real life. But we're going to change that next month.
This is gonna be so fun. I can't wait. Okay, so this is a little element. If maybe I can zoom in right here. That was in the logo right here. This was actually part of the like the font that I use, which I completely forgot what it is. Apologies. But I use this little star or shape, I don't know how you want to call it, as like a visual element. And then I'm using it instead of having an 8% or something like that. I've been finding myself using it to kind of tie everything together because it looks like a plus sign. This is what it is right here. And then I'm gonna add on top here the website.
I also love just how that crisp white, the logos are looking against her, the black in the background, and on her top, it looks that's one of those things where you have to be conscious in terms of photography. You need to make sure that you've got enough contrast.
Yes.
We won't demonstrate this right now, but I want to call it out while Izzy is putting the URL on the screen for the event. We have friends hop into add-ons in Express. You can see it on the screen. Second last menu item on the far left menu. Add-ons, there's one called Contrast Checker, and it is from Adobe. But that would be a good one if you're ever adding elements on top of photography, really any kind of design. It's important to think about contrast. It's important to think about accessibility. Definitely, it's incredible how the platform has expanded with add-ons, which are really, third-party tools that are specialized in certain functions or areas. And Express basically says, hey, try out some of these additional features depending on what you're doing. But if you're getting something printed, even creating something for web, it's a really good idea to check contrast and just visibility in terms of accessibility. And there's there's a handful, I should say, of add-ons that are helpful for that.
That is great. I mean, here I'm like we are safe right here. We can see it. I thought I had added the bold for this font, but it's not there. So that's on me.
That's okay.
It's on it. But for now, we're just gonna keep it as a thin, but it looks so much better when it's bolded and more visible as well.
That's now going to bother you for the rest of the hour. I know it because I know you.
It will. That's That's why I'm calling myself out. And I'm like, I know this is not
Yes.
the best design choice, just so you know. Okay, so here it's actually time to do the schedule. So I'm actually going to lay out everything just like not upside down for now. I'm going to turn it
Yep.
upside down at the very end. So I should have prepared something for this.
Will you
It's
go
smaller.
black with that text?
Yes, and let me do that right now, actually, as I'm typing it in. Then
It's so cool that we can do this in Express.
I know.
By the way, new features in Express, particularly documents or anything where there is longer blocks of text or paragraph, those have become much easier to manage in Express
Oh,
versus before. So you probably won't add enough text that will actually notice a difference, but it's something I want to call out. I believe that came out last week. I try to keep a pulse on all the new things happening, but if you had previously hopped into Express and you were working with a paragraph of text or a large chunk of text, it's now much, much, much easier to manage and work with that from a typesetting standpoint. So that's very exciting.
say it's DJ Khaled that's playing. DJ Khaled in Ottawa. How's that?
Yeah, that's impressive.
Very impressive. What else can we have? Live barbers. And at 9, we'll say party time. Party time.
Party time. I will not miss party time. I love
So
this design. I'm like obsessed with that color, that background color. Oof, it's so, so nice. Kind of like a pottery
too.
terracotta vibe.
I mean, this is within your
It really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Giving myself away. I'm like, I love it because it's like my brand colors.
Exactly. Okay, so let me just go here where I'm gonna just zoom out a little bit so we can see. So now as I'm just making sure that everything looks good with the schedule, the template is a little bit in the way. So this is when I would just delete it. So it's
It
locked right now.
served its
So
purpose.
exactly. So let me unlock it. It is unlocked and then just put delete. And right, it's perfect. We don't see it anymore. I just want to make sure there's no white edges. A little bit. Because that also drives me crazy. And this we
Yes.
will maybe just adjust the line spacing a little bit like that so it takes the full space. Of course, the schedule would be a little more than this because they have a lot going on. It's not just in one room, there's multiple rooms happening at once. So we would need to update that, but you get the full idea right here.
We get the idea.
Now,
You also could, let me call it out quickly. You demonstrated the lock feature in Express, which is a good way to say to your clients, don't touch this. You also, we won't demo it today, but anything with like text, you may consider doing a lock, allow, replace. So when you right click
like
on text,
this.
you'll see that option. Exactly. And friends, let me just quickly explain what that does. When you lock, allow, replace, it is how it sounds. You are allowing another user to replace the text, but it maintains font styling or text styling. So the chosen font and the size, those settings are not editable. Just remember when you do lock, allow, replace, you want to consider the space for the layout in which you've defined, because that will not be able to be edited by your client. But this is an instance where you could allow, for example, lock, allow, replace. It means that your client could adjust the text, but they can't adjust the style. It's our dream as a designer right there.
It
Don't
is.
touch it.
Don't touch it. Don't break it, please.
Don't break it, please. Yes.
So this here is looking pretty good. Let me just like go back so we can see everything. So here, this would be here, the front, the back. when we open it, we have this stunning, beautiful model walking in the like from the runway, and then we have the schedule right here. So now we have to do when we open it, the poster. So if we just click next page, same thing. I mean, this I don't feel like I need to lock it, but it's there just so I can remember. And you know what? Before we start designing, no, I'm gonna do that after actually. My bad. In French, there is a say that says, il n'y a que les fous qui ne changent pas d'idée, which means only crazy people don't change their minds. And that's exactly what happened right then.
Our chat did not expect today to not only learn how to design a foldable poster, but also get a lesson in French. There's a little bonus.
Yay. That's why you tune in. So I feel like this is a stunning image. And I'm going to go back to our brand kit, having our logo. So I think we can just have, actually, you know what? I have the version in orange, which will be stunning with this. Oops. Just bring it up here. Contrast is a little, actually, that does not work. Again, just change my mind.
But to your point, you got to kind of test this and figure it out as you go. When you're working with, the colors inherent of a photo, you will have to sometimes get creative with those placements, right?
Absolutely. And something I actually forgot to do when I was designing, and it's easily, like we can easily add it afterwards, is margins, because this is, and bleed, this is going to print. So here we have this button over here. So I'm just going to do show margin and show bleed, which is perfect. I'm going to go back to our first design, and I'm going to do, oh, it actually did it for everything. Perfect. So now I actually want to have the option of having a different poster, as I mentioned earlier. So it's going to be very easy. We're just going to click on the 3 dots here, duplicate page. I'm going to do that 2 times. And here I'm just going to replace the image. I have to go into my brands.
Thank you, amazing photographer, for giving us such excellent photos that make design, that make these designs just come to life. This is how I feel when I'm doing a branding project and I get the photos back for a client and I'm like, yes.
Yes. Let's see if the orange one could work here. So
again, having such good photography, it gives you the flexibility to play and figure out what looks right, what fits the vibe. That feels pretty exciting.
I guess this is showcasing the libraries and not the brands, because I'm not seeing the Crépu one. So
yes, it might. I wonder if it saved it as a brand for you.
It is. It's right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird, but that's okay. I can just replace, like, re-add it.
Yep. It's easy in Easy and Express to jump between a brand, which is specific to Adobe Express, or a library. When it's set up as a library, you can single click convert it to a brand, and vice versa. Your libraries span across Creative Cloud apps like Illustrator and Photoshop. So that's awesome. If you're using, I know many people that are using libraries in Photoshop and Illustrator, having that available to you in Express is awesome. And then even being able to convert it into a brand is going to give you the functionality to have your logos organized together, your color swatches or color palette as well. Once this becomes a template that you hand off to someone else, another designer or a client, that can also be housed in a brand kit templates. Love it.
This is Sandra. So
no way. Look at her.
Yeah, I know. Fierce.
Amazing. Fierce.
Yes. Oh, yes. Such a cool style. Let me go add this. I want to do the black version of the logo. And what I did earlier, I just wanted to make sure that it was the exact same size for all of them, and it did not allow me to replace it. Maybe just because my Adobe Express is having a tummy ache today. It's not feeling well.
There's a
I
good
just
question from Ray. He said, "How big are the photos that you're working with?"
so Curtis is like a top-notch photographer. He has this amazing camera, but they are both they gave us both for web and for editorial. So they
Mhm.
are huge, but he also compresses them for us. So if we wanted to do quickly something on social media, it would not compress them too much because they're already good for web. So if there's
Yes.
any photographers here, this is something you might want to consider for your clients because this little attention to detail makes my life a lot easier.
Chris also has a good question. He said, "Is there a feature in Express to make sure the photos are appropriate resolution for printing?"
Mm. You know?
Well, I don't know that there's any kind of like alert or warning that would say this photo is low resolution. So you might want to double check the photos that you're housing in your library or in your brand and make sure they're, for example, a minimum resolution. Um, or is he in the case where you've got two albums or two sets of photos? You've got your full res and your web resolution. I might actually have those as separate libraries. So I might use the web images for things like social media reels or social
Right.
media content. But Chris, to answer your question, I would make sure whatever I'm using for print is the highest resolution. I don't know, for example, of a specific feature in Express that would say, oops, this is too low res. I don't think it does that, or at least it hasn't happened to me. But you'll want to make sure independently that you're using the highest res photos you have available to you. And then you can also download, if it's something you're going to print, you might download it as PDF. And even on your computer before sending it off to print, you'll want to double check that, zoom in on it. Last thing I'll say on this, I use Express for all my YouTube graphics, titles, everything that appear in my YouTube videos, but my videos are 4K. So I set my
Mm.
canvas at twice the size. I don't do 1920 by 1080 because my video is 4K. So I do it at twice that resolution and it works perfectly for me.
Just want to see what it looks like with a different type of image. Just because I'm curious. I want to replace it. So I think this image is absolutely stunning.
You have so many beautiful images to choose from. And
Oh,
that is
I know.
literally a designer's dream.
Yes. And here I find I can maybe use the color picker and go fetch this nice bluish purple.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful
And
contrast.
this, I want to put white. Oh, I locked. Oh, no, there you go. Perfect. So here, if we go back, we actually have two different designs of the program. We could choose either option for the poster. We could like diversify them so people don't know what they're getting when they have the poster. And I mean, this is such a fun print. I wish I had the real thing for you, for all of you to see what it looks like printed. But again, this is very much a template, so this is not the final version.
That is okay. I feel like we get a good sense of how it's going to look when we go to print it. And you bring up a good point. This idea of like surprise in the design.
Mm-hmm.
This is possible with a single piece of paper printed out. It might be harder in different mediums, but in this case, where the printing is actually pretty easy, you want to go high quality. Ideally, you could see some demo versions before you print a huge quantity of it. But something like this, like, you know, it's pretty easy to add
Mhm.
variations and create that element of surprise for the recipient. I'll occasionally do this with business cards. There are vendors
Yes.
like Moo that, that's how they built their whole reputation was you can customize one side of the card, make it custom, and that's kind of a neat experience. Some of my clients have done that rather than submitting one design, you actually have 4 different designs or more
Yes.
and then let the person choose their favorite. And that
Mhm.
little element of interaction is just a great little design experience.
You bring up such a good point because this is like interactions, and we call this touch points in like
Yes.
the business terms, that people get to interact with the brand, and these make an impression, a lasting impression. People will remember that. I mean, specifically, if we go back to Sandra's first show, the girls' show, there was no poster left. So she already knows that her audience love the print and tactile. So why not elevate it every time and like keep the element of surprise and start a conversation with offerings just like this one? So
Genius.
here, if we wanted to download, I just want to do this quickly. If you are new to this, so you would go here to download, and you want to make sure that you select PDF, best for documents. This would download the PDF version of the design, and then you can send that to print. You will have to make sure to tell your printer to have some score lines in the middle, folded in like twice on itself. You might have to do a little drawing, or even send them the dummies that you have, so that way they will fully understand what you mean.
Ray has a
Okay.
good question. How do you send your
Yes.
finished document in Express to a printer? Do you save it as a PDF or another format? I would export it as PDF, and then Izzy, like you said, almost include some instructions, even
Yes.
that explain to the printer what your intention is. I
Mhm.
have found that the best printers are, yeah, Ray says, you answered my question. The best printers are the ones that really aim to get clarity from you on what your intention is. They
Yes.
know how to do it. So
Yes.
your goal as the designer, particularly when representing your client, your goal as a designer is just explain to the printer what it is you want and always over communicate. Even
Yes.
explain something that might be obvious to you. Take the time to explain it because there's so many instances, Izzy, that I can think about in 10 years of 13 years of doing that. I say 10 years, but it's like now I can't just say that. It's like 13. Even if it's simple to you, even if it's simple or self-explanatory to you, take the time to have the
Mhm.
conversation with the printer because the printer will say, even give you a light suggestion on something. Hey, why don't you do that? Or, what if we did it this? And it's like, yes, that's the communication that's required for a really good finished product that represents the design.
Absolutely. And here, again, the printer will request for you to have the crop marks and the bleed because they need to cut those edges so there's no white like lines from the paper. So whenever you click PDF and you already have your margins set up, it will actually ask you add crop marks and show bleed. So then you can just make sure that this is on and then download the PDF.
Yes.
Okay.
I have to read out a comment that just came in from Keys. It's just so, so smart. That great question Chris asked earlier. How do we know if a photo, for example, is too low in resolution for a print design? Keys, thank you for mentioning this. One way that we can know, and Izzy, this is one of those things where like I have never said this out loud,
Okay.
but Keys saying it out loud is like, yes, when you import that photo onto the artboard and it's really small, that's an indication that you might be in trouble when you go to print it. It's a little different if we're creating something for web. We drag a photo
Mhm.
on top, we can stretch it out, and we might be okay if it's just on a phone screen or it's small, it's a feed post, etc. But for print, right? If you're having to really scale a photo, chances are that photo is too small and it's going to look pixelated. Thank you, Keys. That's a very good little tip. One of those quick little moments. You drag it on and it's really small. You're like, oop, notice when that happens.
So here, just because we have a few minutes left, this is something that we would like to do maybe quickly. Phil, if you want to jump in,
Yeah. Do you need
We
to add me? Did you add me on as a
I I did.
okay?
Hold on, let me share the link with you.
Yes, you did 31 minutes ago. I didn't even
There you
see you do
go.
that.
Sneaky.
I'll hop in here with you. This is, I know,
Awesome.
I love the last 5 or so-ish minutes of our shows. We're always like, let us quickly show you how to create social media content from this. But I also feel like that's kind of the point, Izzy. It's
Hmm.
so easy in Express to duplicate and resize the designs that you work really hard on to be able to quickly adapt this for social media. That is the point, friends. Duplicate and resize is one of my favorite features in Adobe Express because you can very easily repurpose assets that are already placed in a different design, quickly adjust them, in some case, reduce them. Like in this case, right, Izzy, we wouldn't want to create a reel that has every element from the brochure, but you
Hmm.
kind of decide what is, what's one quick little something to grab onto for the purpose of social media. I'd be more inclined to do the multiple panels. In this case, you're creating a little kind of like photo slideshow. That's a cool,
Yes.
that's a
So
cool idea.
because I know how Crépu they like to do their social media campaign, there's always a save the date. So I think by maybe having just something like some images from last year, and maybe they like go really, really fast on a reel with music, that could be a super fun way to create some FOMO for people to save the day in their calendar already, or be on the lookout for when they announce the full event detail. Because again, those photos, they are stunning, and from the look of it, you would not want to miss this. So that's what I'm adding to this little reel right now, and I'm making them all 1 second. Of
Love
course, this
it.
is a template. They could easily change the timing, change, like pick a song. Maybe they can even add, like I know they have DJs, maybe they can upload a DJ mix that the DJs will give to them, so it's very much branded to them. And I'll do something really quickly here so we can have
I
like
love it.
no
That kind of,
FOMO.
yeah, exactly. And again, having these assets set up in Express, if someone goes, well, why would I do this in Adobe Express if I'm used to doing it in Illustrator? There's a few reasons, but maybe the most obvious reason you'll see right now is that by having these designs set up in Express, it's going to make it easier for your clients to repurpose those and create social media content from it. Even for you to expand the project by setting up additional templates for that client, right? And say, hey, here's a set of templates that you can use for TikTok, for Instagram. We could effectively select that resize button and duplicate and resize for YouTube thumbnails. I mean, we've never seen that workflow before, right? Izzy, like to go from like
Mhm.
a vertical video and then be able to turn that into a YouTube thumbnail. That has never been
Mhm.
possible before. Now
Mhm.
it is so possible and actually kind of fun to do, particularly where you've got those primary assets to pull from. You don't need everything in one design, but you can pick and choose, copy and paste between slides. And remember that in Express, in a single document, you can have pages that are different sizes. That's really unique from other browser-based design tools. And I love that I can keep, just organizationally keep all of my assets in one place.
For some reason, my keyboard is not working anymore, so I
Oh,
cannot have save the date. I wanted to do save the date right here and then like have the photos.
well, let me see
Um,
if I can help you. I'm just
yeah,
sitting here
thank you.
talking away. Save the
Perfect.
date. Wait, not Dave. Save the date. There we go. Where do you
Okay.
want it?
That's perfect. I just want to show it really quickly. It's again, I would like have a lot of photos, but let's just play it and then we need to wrap up because it's time, people.
It is. It is. It is. It's looking good. We'll just
There you
quickly show you
go.
how this looks. Izzy's going to click play. We'll be off to the races. There we go. Click and play. Look at that, friends. A
Yay.
reel, a beautiful reel, 1 second timed. You could add animations if you had more time. But the whole point when we jump in here in the last few minutes of the show to show you social media graphics, it's intended to show you how easy it is to create from any kind of design. Izzy, you did an amazing job in this hour creating. Shout out to the amazing photographer, right? Shout out to
Thank you.
this amazing
Yes.
brand. We had so much fun working with this. And friends, I hope you're feeling empowered to create a foldable brochure. Is that the name that we landed on, Izzy?
Yes. I guess so. Like, I like it.
I like it too. I like it too. We're going to update the title. A little foldable
Yeah.
brochure.
Yes.
Such a fun brand to get to work with. And friends, thank you for kicking off the week with us and making our Monday by being so chatty and having a blast with us. So that wraps our show. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Chris and Ray and Clever and everyone else in the chat. Thank you for having a blast with us. And we will see you again soon. Have an amazing week. And thanks for hanging out with us on Ask a Designer.
Bye, everyone.